Alright, good morning and thanks for clicking on to Vogan's European Outlook. It is Tuesday the 21st of September, and in today's video I want to look at the prospects for the end of the month and into the month of October. September has been remarkably warm when you look at the central England temperature, which is not something I always look at. It's right up there at about, I think, plus 18 Celsius, which if it maintained itself, it would actually be the warmest September on record for the British Isles. If it stayed mild through the remainder of the month, that is not going to be the case, and we probably will end up down at around between 15.5 and maybe 16.5 when all is said and done. The reason why is we're going to see a big change coming up in the next few days, as I'll talk about in a second. Big difference actually for the north of France. Very warm month of September thus far for northern France, after what has been, I believe, one of the most disappointing summers in the last 20 years across the north of France. But it's interesting how the core of the high pressure during the summertime extend from the North Atlantic across into Europe, including the British Isles. The last, really since about mid-August through till now, so like say just over a 4 or 5 week period, the high has been strong, kind of generally from the Azores up to the UK, up to Iceland as well. So it's been interesting how it's been a dominated high pressure pattern over the last few months. It has kind of altered slightly in position over that time period, but generally speaking, it has been a remarkably calm period over the last several months as well. In fact, we've had very little in the way of wind. Rain has been subpar, of course. If you come out of the southeast of England, for example, has been, of course, quite a wet period here, especially during the month of August. But we've kind of flipped things around. September this year has been more like August, and August, in a sense, you could argue, has been a wee bit more like September across particularly the southern half of the British Isles, but certainly a remarkably warm month, a remarkably quiet period in terms of weather, and we are finally about to see that changing as we go through the next several days here, folks. So big changes, like I say, in the previous video, which I was rudely interrupted several times. I'm only joking, but actually, funny enough, when those couple of phone calls came through, it kind of stopped my thinking, my track of thought, and I had to kind of just call it quits at that. But I was too far into the video to say to myself, right, let's do this again. But to kind of slightly expand on what I was talking about, the tropics is starting to stir up in the Atlantic here. What we're going to see is gaps within the mid-Atlantic ridge. Of course, you've got the gap, so to speak, between the Azores and the Bermuda High over the Western Atlantic. It's basically part of the one high-pressure system. But when you've got those gaps, these waves that run underneath that mid-Atlantic ridge, east to west, it finds that gap in between, and you can kind of tend to get that surge northwards of tropical heat and energy up and connect with the jet stream that, of course, is now starting to strengthen. It has been further north compared to normal because of that strong Azores high, but we're seeing that changing taking place. We've got an area of low pressure over the central Atlantic that's feeding warmth into the jet stream. What it's doing is it's going to start to force development and redevelopment of low pressure a little bit further south as we go forward here. So I'll show you that just now. Now, this is the current chart for this morning, and you can see here two areas of low pressure over the North Atlantic, one over the western basin, one up towards the southwest of Iceland here. Notice the two are pretty much connected here, but it's kind of held west and north of the British Isles because of the strength of this Azores high pressure system. But what is going to take place as we push through the remainder of this week? Those two areas of low pressure kind of continue to hold together. the frontal boundary associated with that one up towards Iceland. By the way, that is an incredible map actually for Iceland. 959 millibars of low pressure, tightly squeezed isobars, horrendous conditions in fact across Iceland, with heavy snowfall if you notice to the west of the low itself, and a direct discharge of air coming straight off Greenland, which of course is turning very, very cold indeed as well. But it's interesting how we're going to start to see things taking place. That feature over Iceland pushes a wee bit further north. We start to see the area of low pressure over the western Atlantic lift that a little bit further north, with high pressure in the east coast of North America, high pressure southwest of the British Isles associated with the Azores High, and that area of low pressure. And like I'm saying, is pushing in between the areas of high pressure over the lower latitudes here. What that's going to do is it's going to meet up with the Atlantic jet stream, enhance that jet stream, and therefore we're going to start to see is a new area of low pressure off Greenland start to get drawn south, and this is the pattern starting to change. Notice that the area of low pressure that moves from south of Greenland towards the British Isles is starting to carve out a trough. Now, I know it's not very clear in this chart, but watch the Azores High. It's starting to get deflected south, and eventually it will start to get deflected up towards the North Atlantic here. So we're starting to carve out a trough over the Northeast Atlantic here, and this is a very interesting development indeed here. So you can see here we get a glancing blow, gale force winds across the northern half of the British Isles during Thursday. That feature pushes through. It's followed by another feature, as you can see here, during the course of the weekend. And this area of low pressure is the game changer, if you ask me. The pattern is evolving, it's changing, it's in transition mode. But this area of low pressure that we see southwest of Iceland, that associated frontal system is going to pack more of a punch. There's going to be more wind, more rain, possibly severe gales for the first time in weeks, many weeks at that, of course. And then once that feature pushes through, the Azores High then gets forced northwards. And you can see here the whole feature, the whole dynamics of the pattern starts to change shape here. That area of low pressure goes up towards the north. The cold front associated with that area of low pressure then slides east across the UK, and as it does so, it opens up the door to a northerly airflow here. So this is going to be the first chilly blast of air across the British Isles of the in such a long time here, and this is a very interesting setup here. We could even see, believe it or not, sleet and snow showers over high ground. Granted, it's not going to be at low levels, but we're going to see potentially the first daytime temperatures struggling to get much above 10 or 11 degrees with that northerly airflow. Look at how different the weather pattern is across the North Atlantic here overall. So it's a very interesting shift in the pattern, and the tropics is having an influence on that here. This is the GFS ensemble. The upcoming 5 days, the 500 millibar height anomaly, as you can see here, high pressure and control over that 5-day period. And then as we skip through the sequence, you can see here how the trough moves over the British Isles, and high pressure is pushed south and east and west over the British Isles overall here. Now this is interesting here because the CFSV2 for the month of October is looking like this here, dominated by high pressure here. So that's going to be interesting to see here. What's the 2-meter temperatures looking like? And you can see here that it's indicating, in fact, cooler than normal, if you notice here through the English Channel, which is interesting. Warmer than normal temperatures across the bulk of the UK, and particularly further west and north here. So it's going to be interesting to see. And unfortunately, I haven't got it up, but the NAO and the AO is expected to go firmly negative, and that would coincide with what the modelling is indicating, with the low pressure and the trough developing over the UK, and we're seeing that change taking place here. So we are now finally seeing autumn arrive. Yeah, September can be quite a quiet month anyway, but it has been super quiet, super warm. We're going to see autumn arrive pretty much on schedule, I think. So that's it for today. Hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll be back as always in the next couple of days with more. Bye for now.